What I learned from this studio is that what triggers me most is directing the views and experiences of people while moving. How to excite, surprise them, how to make the rides fun.
The central idea for me to engage in mobility is to weld the discontinuity during each transit and to make everything straightforward, including experience.
Every time when I start a design, I will try to better organize the pedestrians and the different size vehicles and try to provide both the walkers and the drivers an efficient and enjoyable experience.
What I've learned in this year is to imagine the circulation pattern of how people and things can move interactively in buildings or urban areas.
The one-year study of mobility encourages me to use movements to reform the architectural design in a flexible way. Now we are pursuing it in the coming 10 years.
This year's study in Mobility Studio made me most interested in people's experience in various mobility modes. In future career, I will use the user's experience as a mode of spatial organization to create new topology and build it in practice.
A kit of parts, profiles, and moving particles.
This one-year study in Mobility Studio helps me move away from the design of single buildings to projects which combines architecture with different modes of mobility.
At UCLA, I learned to give up the need to control. Architecture is about making people flow into a space and letting them decide where they want to be inside it.
I've learned that a solution can be simple, might even seem absurd, but if you believe in it and work on it, it might just be the best thing ever.
My name is Sherbin. During my study at Mobility Studio, I learned to use computer simulations, not only as a research tool, but also as my main design tool.
In Mobility Studio, I see the power of new technology for supporting great ideas. My interest is to develop my own design method with new tools.
This year in the Mobility Studio, we started the other way around from the way we've done it before. Typically, we've looked at Los Angeles as an innovation center for mobility, and that would be everything from ride hailing, like Uber and Lyft, to scooter sharing, like push scooter sharing, like Bird or Lime, to one of the largest bus networks in the United States or the world, and also one of the most sophisticated traffic management systems in the city. We worked with Salida Reynolds with the LA Department of Transportation. We worked with BMW Design Works, and we spent 10 weeks conceiving a mobility hall where a new building typology dedicated not to parking and a terminal, but dedicated to the exchange from bus, rail, to ride share, to scooter share, to electric bicycle, could all happen. And we thought if that should be a new kind of a space in the city, if it should have a landmark quality, if it would be a place for tourists to come and experience a lot of these new mobilities that you can only experience in Los Angeles first. And we worked on that, thinking from the most urban scale of transportation flows into a kind of a single room space or a single building in different cases for different students. We then took that knowledge and went to a site and looked at what a mixed use retail experience would be like. So how your daily shopping, how destination shopping, how the kind of grab and go might work, and how all of that shopping could move both from your phone to physical space, as well as rethinking physical retail in connection with how people move and the new ways people move through the city. Halfway through that project, we were surprised, and along came COVID-19. A lot of the things we were thinking about, like getting in the back seat of a stranger's car who's an Uber driver, suddenly seemed not tenable. But other things like picking up curbside, like relying on your local neighborhood shop, a lot of these things suddenly became very viable. So it was a very interesting year for us where we were thinking about the future of transportation. We were thrown a totally new paradigm of how people move around the city and how they live much more locally, and were relying much more on local shops as markets and using a kind of a grab and go economy. And we are just wrapping that up now. And it was, I would say, a spectacular year for me, starting from the most urban scale and bringing it down to building problems, which is very different. We previously had thought about how does micromobility change the way you move through a building vertically? Does it change the way you enter a building? Do electric vehicles and no parking mean that you can go deeper into the building with vehicles? Now we went the other way around and thought, how is the city changing, and how does architecture have a conversation with urban planning with people like Salita and Laura Robbins at BMW Design Works? And also, how does architecture participate at the building scale to integrate all these urban flows into something which is very concrete and spatially experiential?